It's November 28th, 2018, and it's time for the Cell Waters Podcast. Our life should be like a comedy show. One laugh, two laughs, don't you know? Our life should be like comedy every day. Oh, 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 what can I say? Welcome to podcast 2 of the Cell Waters Show. This actually might be podcast 1 or podcast 2. I'm in the developmental stages of this podcast. So any help people can give me, any suggestions, feel free. A comedy show is my idea for my show opener. Like every show's gonna open with, our life should be like a comedy show. Maybe I need something more upbeat, like comedy show, comedy show, comedy show. For right now, that's the working opening to the show. Can somebody suggest a good audio to video program? Because I'm using something I'm certain it's maybe classifying myself as a comedy show is not a smart move, because I want to talk about serious subjects as well, like mental health. I don't really know much about politics in the news, but perhaps I could discuss that. Obviously, as we all know, I'm a comedic genius, so comedy is something that I want to bring to the show, but I don't want to be exclusively comedy, so maybe I need a better opening, like, the show about everything! The show about everything! Maybe that would be a better opening. I was looking at some of my recent blog posts for inspiration for my comedy show, and my posts are just really sick and really mentally ill garbage, to be blunt. And there was a time in the past I was happier and I was coming up with better material. Lately, I've just been repeating the same thing over and over again. How depressed, how frustrated, how not well I'm doing. Hopefully this podcast can inspire me to get back into my comedic side. Hopefully this podcast can help me get back into positive way of thinking. Have you ever really wanted to chat with somebody, but you sent the last few messages and all you can do is wait for them to reply, but they don't reply? It's like they're ghosting you. That's the worst, because, especially when you don't have friends, no woman, no job. You just want somebody to talk to, somebody to, you just want a friend, I guess, Have you ever really liked something and then somebody oversaturates you with it and you no longer like it? For example, my mom used to get this pizza, DiGiorno, and the first time I had the DiGiorno pizza, it was like really good. I'm like, yeah, good pizza. Then she got it again and again and again, and now it's like cardboard. I don't like DiGiorno pizza. The same thing goes for my grandma and Juicy Juice. She used to get that, and we all liked drinking Juicy Juice at first. But now we don't like Juicy Juice because, she would get it too frequently. Same thing goes for my dad and Marvel. I watched several Marvel movies and I liked them. I really enjoyed them, and I still do. But I was watching it every weekend, and it's like, all right, enough. Too much Marvel, just too much. Oversaturation. I often let women make me do things I don't want to do. For example, I deleted my previous YouTube channel because I was afraid a woman would discover it and be turned off by it and not want to date me. And it didn't even work out. Ultimately, I just deleted my YouTube channel for nothing. I added a woman on Facebook who potentially could date me, and I removed a lot of posts. This probably won't work out. So, I just do things to impress women temporarily. Then they want nothing to do with me, and I discarded of a lot of good material for no reason. So, that's what it ain't. That is what it ain't. I feel like I need my mom's blessing or approval to do things. For example, my psychiatrist suggested these social groups for people with mental illness. My mom was like, oh, you've tried these groups in the past. You know, you don't like them. You should work. You should do school. If she doesn't approve of something, it's like, oh, I guess I can't do it. It's like I need her permission to do things. It's like a codependency, you know. I'm like, I need mom's approval. I need to work on doing things without telling my mom, doing things without her permission. I'm not talking about like bad things without her permission, like going to a group without mom holding my hand or spoon feeding it to me. My psychiatrist told me I have extreme insecurity, and I do agree with that. It's like I feel like I'm wearing the crazy scarlet letter. Let's take going into Starbucks, for example. I feel like everybody's looking at me like I'm this mentally ill weirdo, and again, I have an extreme insecurity, but I'm told it's all in my head. People probably like me. I'm a handsome guy, I'm a smart guy, I'm a nice guy. There's nothing that jumps out at me as being weird. Actually, if anything, it's just the opposite. People probably look at me and they're impressed. They're impressed at how impressive I am. So, the extreme insecurity is all in my head. It's like the song The Middle. It's all in your head. I don't really have friends. I don't have a woman. You know, I'm dependent on my mom. I'm constantly sitting in my room. I have no job. And I'm just always on the computer. I'm always living in my internet fantasy land. And while the fantasy that I'm going to get discovered for my internet posts is comforting, it's a house of cards. And when my mom inevitably gets older, it's going to crumble. And, you know, it's going to be disastrous. It's going to be a rude awakening for me. So this was podcast 2. People, what did you think? Also, if you know how to convert audio to video, please let me know. If anybody wants to appear as a guest on my podcast, let me know. I would even like a co-host. I need a closing. The show is coming to a close. The comedy show is coming to a close. That's the end of the show.